class. Hi, Dr. Oaks. It's Claire Boyer, and we're talking in week 5 about the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act. Um, I will try to keep my remarks somewhat short here, but it's a huge law. But again, you probably don't need to hear me talk about it for 20 minutes. And I apologize for the background here. My house is a mess. I blame grad school for that. Okay, so I sort of was trying to take some notes here so that I could focus my comments. We'll see how I do. Before we when we talk about this law, I think one of the things to start with is the motivation behind it. The United States spends more per capita on healthcare spending than any other nation in the world, and more than the next 10 biggest spenders combined. And yet, the World Health Organization ranks the United States 38th as far as quality of healthcare system among countries. So that makes it sound like we spend a lot on healthcare, don't really get the best healthcare system in return for it. Some other numbers I thought was interesting. I mean, one of the other issues we have with our healthcare system is the inefficiency and waste. The FBI estimates that $80 billion is wasted through healthcare fraud every year. That's obviously a ton of money. The other thing that the World Health Organization found is that even though the United States, this is back in 2009, even though the United States has the highest healthcare cost, 15% of our citizens lack health insurance. And the other huge problem, obviously, with healthcare is that you've got baby boomers retiring, putting a big strain on the Medicare, Medicaid system, and that is happening at the same time that healthcare costs are continuing to skyrocket. So, it's going to be more and more of our nation's GDP rather, and government spending. So, obviously, it's a huge problem that we need to tackle. So, in response, we got Obamacare, and obviously, some of the parts of the law have already taken effect. Others are being phased in gradually. We were asked to evaluate this law by way of a public policy for its public policy aspects. So I've taken out my textbook and I'm kind of going to go through the different public policy aspects of this law. Okay, how about equity? This law aims to be equitable. The idea behind it is to expand health care to more uninsured Americans. It requires insurance companies to insure all applicants, and it prohibits insurance companies from denying coverage based on pre-existing conditions. As far as liberty and freedom goes, I'm not sure there's a lot there. Part of the law is that it requires that everybody carry insurance. So, I guess you can decide not to carry insurance, but then you'll be faced with fines. What else? Efficient. Well, it's supposed to streamline healthcare, the healthcare system. I'm not sure where it's exactly doing that, but again, idea behind it. Is it effective? Not every part of the law has taken effect, but some of the things that it has done is that it offers it again, as I mentioned before, it enforces that adults with pre-existing conditions can still be covered, and requires that an insurance company not drop them because they have pre-existing conditions. College graduates, or not even college graduates, but any young adults that are uninsured can remain on their parents' health insurance until they're 26. In this economy, that's probably a good thing. And it also requires insurance companies to pay 100% for screening and preventive care. We've already seen this take place. And my husband and I have had our physicals, and no copay for that, no copay for mammogram. So that's, hopefully that's effective in stopping people from, I guess the effectiveness there would be that more people would go ahead and try and get screening because they wouldn't have to pay for it, and if they're screened, hopefully they catch any sort of serious illness early. Let's see, social acceptability. Obviously, this is there's a lot of strong feelings on both sides about this law. I mean, administrative and technical and political feasibility. I mean, it's going into effect. I mean, how again, it sort of comes down to how effective is it. Um, we'll see as it goes. But I have to say, when I think about this law and when I try to do research about it, there's lots of places you can go where they talk about, the good and bad of the law and just the basics about what it accomplishes. But I mean, the biggest problem I think is that it doesn't really address the high cost of healthcare. And I find when I did some research, there wasn't a lot of information out there. I mean, everyone just sort of assumes, well, healthcare costs are skyrocketing, so be it. And that's where I sort of think, well, I mean, what's sort of the point of doing all of this or having laws and and exchanges and things like that? And trying to help people pay these high premiums. I mean, is there anything we can do to sort of lower these costs or at least question them? I was trying to read up on Stephen Brill from Time did a huge story about the cost of healthcare, and just some of the stats that he reported I thought were pretty amazing. I mean, you talk about these nonprofit hospitals and their CEOs earning $1.8 million. You talk. They gave the example of this nonprofit MD Anderson, part of the University of Texas, and it talked about how they charge $7 each for alcohol prep pads. Like when you get a shot and they do this, that costs $7. And they talk about what else? Tylenol, $1.50 a pill, even though you could buy 100 for $1.50 online. I mean, I don't have to go through the whole article. I'm sure you can find it, and you probably read it yourself. But I mean, these kinds of costs are just really exorbitant, and I think that's where we need to start when we talk about healthcare reform. Is some sort of way to put caps on spending. Make it so it is more nonprofit. I don't have the numbers in front of me, and I can't seem to press pause on this program that I'm using to record my videos, which is why I get lots of ums and things like that. I'm 7 minutes in, so the idea of starting all over makes me cringe. But I work for Senator Feinstein, and she was trying to help folks in California that were facing huge healthcare premiums. And, when she was doing, or she and her staff were doing the research on this issue, they found out that, Anthem Blue Cross, the CEO, was making millions and millions of dollars, yet they were able to sort of, willy-nilly just decide they were going to raise people's premiums by, 10, 20, 30% or higher. And, it was a real hardship for folks. They were cutting their, insurance. They were dropping their own insurance and being uninsured because they couldn't afford the premiums. So, you hear these types of stories, and it just seems like the wrong kind of, at least to me, it seems like the wrong sort of field for a for-profit business. I think everybody deserves a chance at healthcare. I mean, it's just, maybe I'll get flamed here for this, but I think it is a right. I think people deserve to be able to afford their healthcare and, and get treated by doctors when they need to be. And anyway, that's where I should stop here, I guess. I look forward to any responses, and I will respond to them. Okay, thank you.